see what happens since the last time you had it. It's more than a year now, I think. So please.
Yes.
Get started.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for letting us have this opportunity to present this material. I will just share my screen here. I think this is working. Do you all see the presentation now?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
perfect. Okay. So hello, everyone. I can start with introducing myself. My name is Katrine Bergøy. I work in the Norwegian Medicines Agency, also called NOMA, in the unit for distribution of medicinal or of data on medicinal products. So I'm a pharmacist by background, participating in the SAFEST project, which I will tell you more about in a second. I'm here today also with my colleague Tom, which can introduce herself.
Thank you, Katrine. My name is Tom Q. I'm also a pharmacist of background, and I've been working for NOMA since 2019, and at the same time for the SAFEST project. And also we are working together in the same unit in NOMA too.
So what we want to present today and what we have named this presentation is pharmaceutical products based on relation from manufactured to administrable dose form and our solution to meet the needs in clinical practice. So this is related to the work that we are doing in the SAFEST project, where the aim is to do exactly this. So cover the needs, or at least some of the needs that the specialist healthcare sector in Norway has. But I will come more back to that in a few minutes. So more specifically, this is what we are going to talk about in the next hour or so. I will start by giving a brief presentation of first the agency and then the SAFEST project, including a status of where we are in the project today. And then we will go over to talk about pharmaceutical products and more specifically pharmaceutical dose forms, which is the theme for today. I will go through some definitions before we go on to talk about the challenges we have seen regarding pharmaceutical dose forms and how these challenges affect clinical use cases, including our solution to meet these challenges. And regarding to this, we will also get into the topic of PhPID. And finally, we will have a look at some other aspects for PhPID generation to meet clinical practice. And then I think we will have some time in the end for questions and discussions. So, the Norwegian Medicines Agency, or NOMA, is the national competent authority in Norway. And today we are approximately 360 employees, and we have our offices located in Oslo. NOMA is an agency under the Ministry of Health and Care Services, and we are responsible for both human and veterinary medicinal products. And we are also responsible for the medical devices that are placed on the market, that they meet the regulatory requirements. In addition to this, we are also responsible for delivery of the medicinal product dictionary, facilitating new digital information services to meet clinical needs, both in the primary and the specialist healthcare, as well as contributing in projects for standardized information on medicinal products. So now we'll go over to talk a bit about our SAFEST project. Well, as you can see on this illustration here, Norway is has its health sector divided in 4 geographically distinct areas. It's the Regional Health Authority of Northern Norway, Central Norway, Western Norway, and Southeastern Norway. And the SAFEST project is financed by these health regions. As of today, the hospitals in Norway don't have access to one single source for structured high-quality data on medicinal products that they can use in electronic health record systems or other clinical systems. What we do deliver today is structured data for use in e-prescription. And this was originally meant for the primary healthcare sector. And as we know, the hospitals have other needs for structured medicines data. So today in each health region, these data are manually modified and completed by each region to make them fit their needs. And this is both time-consuming and represents a risk because the regions then will not have unified data. So these are the background drivers for the project: to reduce time-consuming manual work, to heighten the quality of the data, and also to reduce the risk for incorrect medication of the patients. And the SAFEST project has 4 goals or requirements. The first is improved data quality through implementation of IDMP. The definition of strength, pharmaceutical dose form, packages, and route of administration. The second goal is the prescription based on active substance, or ENN prescribing for inpatient care. The third is data on nutritional products, both parenteral medicinal products and enteral drinks. And the fourth is product codes on unit level to support closed-loop medication management. In the project, we are closely collaborating with hospitals' representatives, and we have dedicated resources in the project from the Regional Health Authority of Southeastern Norway, which is the largest region of all 4 and treats approximately 50% of the Norwegian population. So in the SAFEST project, NOMA and the hospital representatives work together as a team to make sure that what is being developed in the project always is in line with the actual clinical needs. Okay. So here is a very simple illustration of the technical solution of SAFEST. It consists of 3 main functions: data transfer, quality improvement, and distribution. So as I said earlier, the SAFEST service will give the Norwegian hospitals 1 single source to medicinal product data. So data from our internal legacy medicinal product database, which is called Athene, and which is on premise, are exported and re-established as an SQL database in the cloud. So here the data are transformed to IDMP format. And then we have a quality improvement function and a distribution function, which offers a regulatory FHIR profile, the FHIR API, which can and will be used in the hospital's clinical systems. Okay, so this is the last slide about SAFEST, just a quick status of where we are today. The first delivery was released in Q4 last year. It consisted of medicinal products, package, and product codes on every package level in FHIR format. Also, the user interface for management of terms for pharmaceutical dose form, combined term and more was released last year. And the next delivery is currently under testing. That is the user interface for management of terms for substance. And it is estimated that this will be released in Q3 this year. And in the analysis and design phase, we are currently working with nutrition, administrable products, manufactured item, and ingredient with strength. And this is according to the plan to be released in Q1 next year. Okay, so let's move over to the topic of pharmaceutical products and pharmaceutical dose form. So just to put this in context of the process of implementing IDMP, I want us to take a brief look at which part of the IDMP data model that are concerned when we talk about these things. So starting with the pharmaceutical product, which refers to the medicinal product in the dose form authorized for administration. And it's directly linked to the medicinal product. In the EU implementation guide, it is stated that each medicinal product must contain at least one pharmaceutical product, but it can also contain more. And for instances where the manufactured item must undergo a transformation before being received to the patient or administered to the patient, the pharmaceutical product represents the final dose form after transformation. Like, for instance, powder and solvent for solution for injection. The pharmaceutical product represents the solution for injection. And also one small additional note, the full information on the pharmaceutical product is presented in the FHIR resource called Administrable Product Definition. But in this presentation, we are referring to the pharmaceutical product as described in the EU implementation guide and as well as EDQM. And so the administrable dose form is an attribute of the pharmaceutical product class, simply defined as the pharmaceutical dose form for administration to the patient after any potential or necessary transformation of the manufactured dose form has been carried out. And finally, the manufactured dose form is defined as the pharmaceutical dose form of a manufactured item before any potential transformation into the administrable dose form. Okay, so over to what are the challenges we see for the clinical use regarding dose forms. As we see it, there are mainly two problems. The first one being that the authorized dose form is deficient, like for instance the dose form for injection and infusion products that are often inconsistently named even for the same product in different countries. And Tan will come back to this in just a few seconds. And the second problem, which then will be in focus for the rest of the presentation, is that the manufactured dose form is too ambiguous to be used as the administrable dose form for prescription. So let's jump over to the first problem, and then I will give the word to Tom.
Thank you, Katrine. And so the first problem we are talking about is that the authorized dose form is deficient. So here we are looking at one of very many examples. These are two very similar medicinal products with the same indications and the same clinical use, but they have different authorized dose form. For example, the one from Novamedic, which is a powder for solution for injection. This will lead to one pharmaceutical product with the administrable dose form injection solution. While on the other hand, you have the one from MIP, which is a powder for solution for injection or infusion. This will result in two different pharmaceutical products, with administrable dose form injection solution and the other infusion solution. So the question is there actually a difference to these two products? And we looked further into the SMPC for the one from Navamedic, and this one stated that it can also be used for infusion. So this means that the one from the MIP is the correct one with the correct number of pharmaceutical products. So you can take next, Katrina. So authorized pharmaceuticals dose form is what we use to create pharmaceutical products. And the administrable dose form is the preferred dose form for prescribing to patients. If the authorized pharmaceutical dose form is deficient, then we do not have the correct pharmaceutical products. And this is a potential risk to patient safety. So after this discovery, we have taken some measures in NOMA. We have established a working group for standardized medicinal product information. That is a team of colleagues from different units within regulatory affairs and better use of medicines. What we do is we prioritize and address cases where product information is outdated. And we also contact the MA holders with advice and guidance on how to apply for change and update information according to standards. This is the long-term solution, which takes time. And in the safest project, we have a solution, a technical solution, which makes room for change in the relation from manufactured to administrable dose form, which is the main focus today and which is what Katarina is talking more about.
Yes. So then we can go over to the second problem with the manufactured dose form being too ambiguous to be used as the administrable dose form for prescription. And when we talk about prescription, we're talking about active substance-based prescription or ENN prescribing. So in the next couple of slides, before we go over to look at a specific use case, I want to talk a bit about the role of PhPID, or the pharmaceutical product identifier, in regard to this topic. So as we know, IDMP is the chosen standard for expressing data on medicinal products. And PhPID is IDMP's mechanism for grouping pharmaceutical products. And in 2019, Uppsala Monitoring Center, or UMC, was endorsed as the future maintenance organization for global PhPIDs. And the overarching purpose for PhPIDs is to identify and group products that are essentially the same products in terms of substance, strength, and administrable dose form. And it is first and foremost meant for the areas of pharmacovigilance, drug shortages, and cross-border prescription. But PhPID can also be used in the use cases of inpatient care and prescription and dispensing within a country. So of these 5 use cases for PhPID, 3 of them represent clinical use cases, which is our primary focus in the safest project. So in general, the PhPID must group or identify all available pharmaceutical products that has the same equal clinical effects across any contexts, like across countries, health institutions, systems, etc. And as a consequence of this, the clinical use cases require the PhPID, the generating algorithm behind, and the underlying data to have a number of characteristics. So in the next slide, I will continue with one of those characteristics, which is unambiguous intended sites in administrable dose forms. So there are other characteristics one need to consider as well in regard to generating PhPID to meet clinical practice, which is outlined in one of the last slides. So we will come back to that a bit later. So the example we have used in this presentation is the dose form ear-eye nasal drops solution. You can see here the manufactured dose form consists of a combination of intended sites, auricular, ocular, and nasal. So the products can be used in both ear, eye, and nose. However, when a doctor is prescribing a product like this, he or she must choose a concrete or specific intended site in the prescription process. So either auricular, ocular, or nasal, which is illustrated in the blue boxes to the right here. So therefore, for this clinical use case, the administrable dose form must define an unambiguous clinical effect and application. And as I will come back to a bit later on, the PhPID generation, in order to meet clinical use, must also be based on this unambiguous administrable dose forms. As we know, and as Tom already mentioned, clinically equivalent products may have different authorizations in different countries, also in terms of intended site. So in one country, there might exist a product authorized for both ear, eye, and nose, while the same product in another country might be authorized only for the eye. So an e-prescription based on the dose form ear-eye nasal drops solution would therefore not yield a selection of products with equal clinical effect, as the pharmaceutical products with the intended site only auricular, only ocular, or only nasal would be excluded, which we have tried to illustrate on this figure here. This might be a little bit clearer when we look at this use case with this exact scenario. This use case is called no less than IDMP in a droplet. So not a capsule this time, but a droplet. And it is about Gitte from Denmark, who just before leaving for her summer holiday notices that both her eyes are swollen and red. She is afraid she might have to cancel her vacation, but consults her doctor right before leaving for the airport. And then the doctor diagnoses her with a bacterial eye infection and prescribes her eye drops, antibacterial eye drops. But since Gitte is already on her way to the airport, the e-prescription is sent to her holiday destination, which is Austria. So Gitte is of course happy. She doesn't have to cancel her vacation, and the sunglasses will have to do before getting the prescribed medication. So first thing in Vienna, Gitte rushes to a pharmacy to collect her medicine. And the pharmacist finds the e-prescription in the system, but no matching products. So Gitte tries several pharmacies to see if any of them have her medication in stock, but to no avail. So after a few days, Gitte contacts a local doctor who prescribes her an eye medication called white eye, which she can collect at a local pharmacy without problems. So the question is, why didn't White Eye show up with her first prescription, even though the substance, dose form, and strength are seemingly equal? So if we take a look at behind the scenes, when the original prescription was created, the doctor in Denmark selected the substance, ciprofloxacin, the administrable dose form, ear, eye, nasal drops solution, and the concentration strength 0.5 milligram per milliliter. This exact combination is represented by the PhPID 5x7, which then was sent as an e-prescription to Austria, or perhaps a common European e-prescription database. While in Austria, there is actually no pharmaceutical product related to the PhPID on the Danish prescription, since the manufacturer of the product that is marketed in Denmark, which is called White Eye, did not seek any market approval in Austria. However, in Austria, there is a generic version called White Eye with the same substance, ciprofloxacin, the administrable dose form eye drops solution, and the same concentration strength, 0.5 milligram per milliliter. But due to the different dose forms for these two products, different administrable dose forms, the PhPIDs would not match, so the relevant Austrian product could not be found and dispensed, and Gitte could not receive her medication. This we have tried to illustrate on this slide here, just an illustration on how the same substance and strength, but different administrable dose forms for the two products results in two separate PhPIDs, which then will not match so that the correct product are not found in the pharmacy. So our proposal for solution 1, and here I would like to state that this is not part of NOMA's solution for handling pharmaceutical dose forms, but our proposal for solution for generating PhPIDs to meet clinical needs, which is the responsibility of UMC. So solution 1 would be to split the dose form ear, eye, nasal drops solution into 3 separate administrable dose forms, so that each of them would have separate PhPIDs generated from the substance, the unambiguous intended site, and strength. So then a total of 3 PhPIDs would be generated, one of them which would match with the PhPID for the Austrian product. And solution 2 could be a hybrid version with the generation of a PhPID for the combined dose form, as well as a PhPID for each of the unambiguous intended sites. So a match for the two products would still exist. So over to NOMA's solution to meet the clinical needs. First of all, it is unclear how such unambiguous pharmaceutical dose forms should be handled on a European level, as the transition from manufactured to administrable dose form is not stated in the EU implementation guide nor EDQM. So, as you probably have figured, in order to meet the clinical needs with being able to identify all available pharmaceutical products with equal clinical effect across any context. In in the safest project, we have decided to split the manufactured dose form into separate administrable dose forms. When the manufactured dose form include multiple characteristics, such as intended site in this example, or administration methods. So this will also generate multiple pharmaceutical products, one for each administrable dose form. So the example that has been shown in this presentation with the manufactured dose form ear, eye, nasal drops solution will generate 3 different administrable products, one for each intended site. And the same goes for example, products with manufactured dose form solution for injection infusion. Then 2 different pharmaceutical products will be generated, one for each administration method. So one for injection and one for infusion, as we saw a bit earlier. This is just a simple screenshot from our user interface for the management of pharmaceutical dose form terms, which was released in the safest project last year. So we can see here that the term ear, eye, nasal drops solution has references that are manually made to the administrable dose forms nasal drops solution, ear drops solution, and eye drops solution. It's written here in Norwegian, but I think you might see that as well. So the splitting of the dose form happens in the referential systems, while these administrable dose forms will be used and assigned to the correct administrable products when the safest delivery for administrable products is released next year. So in this presentation, we have focused on the issue with ambiguous intended sites, but there are also other aspects for the clinical use cases regarding multiple values in the dose form attributes, such as administration methods that we have mentioned briefly, transformation, and also, but to a lesser extent, release characteristics. And also, the correct strength is crucial when it comes to grouping pharmaceutical products, since 2 pharmaceutical products with the equal clinical effect must be grouped by the same PhPID, independent of their strength or basis of strength substance, or BOS. So in other words, it should be the reference strength that is basis for the grouping of pharmaceutical products. So I will not go further into details at this point, but this is something we have discussed quite a lot lately, and we would like to get discussion around these topics as well at a later time. So as we see the importance of making this right in order to support clinical use cases, and by that ensure correct grouping of pharmaceutical products. We are close to the end of the presentation. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the work or discussions we have ongoing with the UMC regarding PhPID generation. Over the past 6 months, NOMA, along with our hospital's representatives in the project, have arranged several meetings with UMC, including one workshop here in Oslo in the end of March. And we have discussed several topics around the input variables for the PhPID generation, including the one that has been in focus in this presentation, and those mentioned in the previous slide. So these discussions have been really interesting, and we think it also has been valuable for UMC to get this direct feedback from the hospital's representatives on what the needs are in the clinic. And I think that has been quite unique. We will have one more meeting before the summer, and we will probably also continue with the discussions after the summer holidays, which we look forward to. But as mentioned earlier, we would like to have these discussions also with the rest of the UNICOM members. That is also why we wanted to present this topic today, to hopefully bring up some discussions around, for instance, your thoughts on this solution, if any of you maybe are thinking about doing it the same way or perhaps another way. Either way, we would love to hear about it. So this is the last slide. We want to thank you for the opportunity once again to present this material. Hope you found it interesting. Together with us today are also some of our colleagues in NOMA and the Safest project, Gunhild and Christine, which will also be available for questions if there are any. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Let's see what we have, what questions we have. One from Astrid, I think. Astrid Roth, please.
This is Astrid today. So it's
you are
Georg speaking.
Astrid.
Yes.
Hello, Georg Astrid.
I'm sitting together with a new business analyst here in Austria. She's sitting next to me. Maybe you can see us now. Catherine, thanks a lot for this brilliant presentation. I'm impressed again. And I have two questions. The first is the fire export to the consumers. Is this already a real fire resource export like IDMP and HO7 version 5? Or are you on the way for, let's say, a complete fire resource export?
I think I will maybe let Gunhild or Christine answer that.
It's real. We are using real fire resources, and isn't it 46B we are on now, Gunhild?
I think so.
Yeah, we are not. We are on our way against release 5 of fire. So we are really conscious about how we can move to release 5 of the fire resources.
Thanks, Christina. So we will contact you because this is in our portfolio for next year, 2024. And so we will try to use all these UPD veterinary lessons learned, because we do this for veterinary. And then we will use your lessons learned to speed up with this export. Brilliant.
Yeah, and please be free to contact us about that, Georg.
I will do. And my second question is about this very essential harmonization topic that you presented and how we will proceed across Europe with this topic. And what I proposed to us, and I wrote the email, that we add this question for discussion to the Zagreb meeting. There are other questions like pack size, presentation, and we should add this question to this agenda as well, at least to start and gather, let's say, feedback from UNICOM partners in Zagreb. Would you agree to that?
I think it's a good idea, and we will be happy to bring these discussions up, because we need to discuss it if we still should have this common goal about creating at least a European PhPID. So we need to discuss it.
Yes, fully agree. Thank you. So thanks a lot. Back to you, Pelle, and for the moderation. Thanks.
Just for the clarity for everybody, just the Zagreb meeting is only for the NCA participating in UNICOM, as we have representatives today of other NCAs. So just not to let you in the haze. Pelle, back to you.
No, that's fully correct. So we will take this in for when we finalize the agenda for the Zagreb meeting. We will liaise on Friday with this within the work package for lead. So, but then we move on to the next question from Isabel, I think. Isabel, you with us?
But she's still muted. Maybe that's the reason why we don't hear her.
Maybe. We will see. Otherwise, we go with your question first, Paul. We can
Okay,
wait.
I just do not know whether I can share my screen here.
Yeah, I think you should be able to.
No, I'm not able to do so.
Oh, okay. Maybe look
because I was looking at.
I can change it. I can change
yeah,
it.
Perfect.
Because I wanted to show something which could be a solution for the problem on the PhPID. Because EMA has all the information in the spore IDs. Okay, thank you. So I've taken the screen. So this is actually the spore ID. I looked it up in the RMS, the database. The spore ID of the ear, eye, nasal drops solutions. And it becomes very interesting if you go to the extended attributes. And maybe we should then make for the PhD this thing that you have the basic dose form, which is solution, and then add that term combined with the intended site, auricular, nasal, or ocular. And then you could make IDs which have then the three of them. So maybe that's an idea to extend the PhPID with the basic dose form and the intended site. And then we will cover all the cases, I think. But that's something which can be discussed in Zagreb, as mentioned by Georg. But I just wanted to give this to you. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So then we will see if Isabel is with us and can unmute and put the question on the table. No, doesn't seem like. Okay, feel free to when you're able, just to put forward the question. And Georg, your hand is still up. Is the old hand, or do you have another question?
Yes, sorry, it was a legacy hand.
Okay.
But believe me, I would have another 1,000 questions.
Yeah, okay, but feel free, since I don't think we have any other hands up at the moment. So if you have another question, just please go ahead.
Look, Isabel has put in the chat that she can't unmute herself.
Okay, maybe we have the. Okay, that was strange. Maybe Isabel, you can put your question in the chat box, and we can, if it's possible. I don't know. Sometimes it's not really easy to formulate the question in text in the same way, but if possible, please do. And I think we have no central mute, right, Luke? So everybody should be able to unmute, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I see Georg.
Shall I forward my question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Please
So,
do.
Catherine and Christina, for your legacy products, it's now my question: did you already transform all your data into a new solution, or so? Because I'm pretty sure my business colleagues will ask me before they will put effort into that. So, what's your status on your legacy data now?
Will you take that, Christine, or?
Yeah, or Gunhild, do you want to tell about that? Katrina showed you the processes inside the safest services. One of the processes is the quality improvement. That's the function where we are transforming the legacy data and the legacy structure into the FHIR structure. So in a way, we are not going into ISO IDMP at all. We are bringing our data into the FHIR structure and the FHIR names in this transformation function.
So do I understand this correctly? Your native product dictionary or database will not be changed. You transform this.
We have a medicinal product database called Athena on-premise. That's still the same database. But as Gunhild can tell you more about, we have done a lot of cleansing of the data in that database. But still, the names of the variables and the structure of the database is the legacy one. So we are bringing, so we are exporting those data into to a tool called Sesam, where we are transforming the legacy data into a new structure and with the FHIR resource names.
I see. Thank you. So what I understood is that your native database is quite the same as before, but then you do a transformation where you split up into multiple pharmaceutical products to provide this to your consumers, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So your assessors and your regulatory colleagues don't see all these splitted pharmaceutical products in their system.
Of course, this is a project and it's a pilot at the moment. And in this quality improvement function, we are also enriching the data a little bit, especially about the packages and the package codes. So we have these two processes within this improvement function. We are transforming and we are enriching the data.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. It was very helpful. So now I'm down to question 999, but I hand over to Pelle before.
Already?
Yeah, but I think we still have hands from Isabel and Paul, but Isabel seems not to be able to talk, and I didn't see a question in the chat box yet. And Paul, I suspect it's an old hand. Yeah, it disappeared now. So the floor is open for anyone to raise your hand or come with the questions or comments for them. Also welcome, of course.
I think it was a very good idea and a very good proposal to discuss this in the next meeting, because I think some questions might come later on as well, once you had some time to think about what this actually is. So we have used quite some time to discuss it. So, but perhaps. It's not likewise for everyone.
Yeah, we will definitely put it on the agenda. We have a lot of topics for the agenda, so maybe we have to do some liaison negotiations with Georg for work package 3 to see where we put what on the agenda. We have 2 days, so and the second day we will need to stop at around 3 o'clock for people to be able to fly back home. So, but we will get back with the agenda topics soon as we have liaised, and we will do that on Friday. So if we don't have any more questions.
Let me raise one more question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay, one more, but it's more a comment than a question. So I think we all can see the effort that is needed in this, let's say, data enrichment, or however we want to call this, splitting into a more granular structure. But I think we can ease the pain, because for sure in MRP DCP products, so in procedures where we work together, only one of partners needs to do the work and other partners can consume this. So we don't need to duplicate the effort. If we find a clever way how to share, let's say, for example, what the RMS does with the other CMS partners in a common procedure. I think we need to just be clever on this. Then we can ease the pain of that.
Yeah, very good input.
Thank you.
Something that would definitely should take into account. Yeah. Katrine.
Just a comment from Gunhild here.
And the way we have done or about to do this splitting is by have the reference in the referentials for between two pharmaceutical dose forms, and then the automatic function in CSAM is actually splitting the products. So we don't do it quite a lot of times.
Mm.
And I hope that if we can agree on how the dose form, the administrable dose form should be on the administrable product, then the EDQM could have delivered those relations between pharmaceutical dose forms.
Yep. Thank you. We have now in the chat box a comment from Isabel as well. It was not a question, but the description of the situation in Spain. Maybe you can read it all by yourself in the chat box. But definitely there are more challenges to be solved, and things are handled different in different member states and different NCAs. So definitely we have a lot of things to take into account further down the road. Georg.
Thank you. I didn't have too much coffee, but I'm so into this topic and so motivated and interested. So sorry again. I think this discussion is also needed because for the new application form, so we are refactoring the old PDF to the new online tool, which will also cover the new application form. We will have the situation that the applicant will have to, let's say, define the manufactured items and the pharmaceutical products right from the beginning of the application.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this discussion is really needed because we need to influence the requirements on the new application form in a way so that we have a harmonized approach for new products, of course. Yeah, so very essential. Noel, the product owner for this new form, will be in Zagreb too. He was already in the room, I informed him. So that's also helpful for work package 3 in Unicom.
Yeah.
This was
so
my
good.
last question for today, or comment.
Yeah. Are you sure?
And it's
I'm not, but I try to be
it's
confident.
so good that we also have the meetings in common, work package 3 and work package 4, because we have so many things that we need to discuss together. So that's really beneficial, I think. So with that, I don't know if we have any more questions. Seems like that was all. Then just to virtual applause and a great thanks to the Norwegian agency for this very, very informative and good presentation, and to all of you also for good discussions. So thank you very much, and see you in the virtual space next time on the next session we have. I think we have Spain upcoming, and we have also some more. And some of you we will meet in Zagreb in a few weeks. Until then, have a good time. Take care all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.